So I'm here today to talk about flow. By a show of hands, how many people have ever created a flow? Okay, wonderful. So almost all of you. So that's great to hear. I'm going to, maybe then I'll accelerate a little bit through the basic sections and get to the meat of it. And we'll see some demos. So hopefully you will enjoy the session. I also have some time at the end to talk about roadmap, where we're going. And if we do have some extra time, happy to take questions at the end as well. So when we talk about flow and why we do flow, why we care about flow, what the motivation is, it's really because there's all of these different systems out there in the world. And people have to manually work with all of them, move data, build processes using Excel or email, where they're copying stuff back and forth. And this is a really arduous, unpleasant process. And we really think that we can bring automation alongside where people are to bring all of these systems together in a way that's way more efficient than it has been in the past. So since all of you raised your hands, or almost all of you raised your hands, hopefully you already know a little bit about this and how flow can indeed automate across the systems that you already have today inside of your organization. Now, before I talk much more about flow, I want to go on a very slight tangent and mention RPA. So, also out of curiosity, how many people have heard of the term RPA before? Okay, so about half of you or so. And I apologize for the monitor. It looks like we're going to get some black and white over here, but we'll work through it. So RPA is about automating tasks on people's desktops, on their PCs, connecting with legacy systems, and bringing all of those tasks together. And recently, there's been a lot of hype and excitement about RPA. And we really like that because that brings a focus to the fact that there's all of these things in businesses that need to be automated. There's all of these processes that people are just doing by hand today. So that's great. But with Flow, we think that you can go way beyond what you could do with classical RPA and bring intelligent automation to your business. And what we mean by that is you're not just connecting to your legacy systems, but you're also connecting to your cloud systems and bringing people into the processes and leveraging new technologies like AI Builder, which we announced this morning, to get much more intelligence infused into these processes. And the other thing that's really valuable about Flow when we talk about audience and why we're doing it is it doesn't require a complex IT deployment. Flow works for anybody to just get started very rapidly. I assume that's how almost all of you in this room today were able to get started with Flow, is you just went to the Flow website, clicked around, and got something working. And that's really important, especially as we realize that more and more people in the world are going to need to take advantage of automation to do their jobs more efficiently. So that's really how we see Flow in comparison to RPA. Now, with Flow, we also like to talk, of course, about the broader Power Platform. So hopefully by now you've heard the term Power Platform. We didn't use that term last year. I think last year we called it the Business Application Platform. So we got rid of one of the words at least, so it's now only 3 words long instead of 4. So that's Microsoft naming at work. But with the Power Platform, our goal is to really create a single suite of offerings that allows non-developers to be able to analyze, act, and automate on the data that they have inside of their organization. And these 3 offerings, Power BI has been around for a little while now, so hopefully everybody's familiar with that. Power Apps, we released that at the same time as Flow, which allows those rich applications to be built. Now, these 3 offerings are built on 3 common components. So we have the data connectors. We have over 260 connectors that Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow can use. We also have the common data service, which is the best place so you can put all of your data and build your applications on top of it. And then today, we have AI Builder, which we released this morning, like I mentioned, and that brings the ability to have artificial intelligence across all of these different offerings. So with these 3 things together, building on the Common Data Service, AI Builder, and the connectors, we think we have a really awesome platform that allows anybody in an organization to be able to automate, build applications, or analyze their data no matter what level of skills they have. With Flow specifically, what do we do? Well, obviously we model business processes and automate workflows. That's what all of you today are probably already doing. Maybe you built something very simple, but you can go all the way to the most complex processes inside your organization by using the process modeling capabilities that we have. And I'll show you some examples of that as we go through the session. You, of course, can go from very simple to complex branching and looping. You can return to various locations. You can have conditional logic to figure out how your flow is going to run. Of course, we have, like I mentioned, those 260 different pre-built connectors, as well as connectivity to the on-premises systems through the on-premises data gateway. And we have the ability for you to connect to your own custom systems. If you have line of business systems that you don't have a connector for, that we don't have a connector for, you can actually build that yourself. And it's a very straightforward process that doesn't require writing any code either. We, of course, hear often, hey, you're going to go and democratize integration across my organization. Does that mean I'm going to lose all control? I'm not going to have any visibility in what's happening as an IT department? And the answer to that is no. We have built-in governance and security and monitoring and analytics to ensure that as an IT administrator, you know exactly what's happening inside your organization, if that's your role, and you can always change and affect the policy of what people are doing. And finally, if Flow isn't enough and you need to be able to take it to the next level and use your pro dev skills, if you have them, to be able to reach out and connect to other systems or to be able to have some lines of code that run, you can connect to Azure seamlessly. And we have some new innovations that we're doing there, so that way it's even easier than ever before to connect to Azure as you want. So that's the Flow in a nutshell. And this product is already having a huge impact in businesses. And we did this study in conjunction with Forrester, and they found that with Flow and Power Apps, it can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in the first year by avoiding external developer costs. Rather than spending millions of dollars on outsourcing to build a process automation system, you can just have people inside your own company do that with Flow. And this can pay itself back. All of the investment that it takes, the licensing and the setup, can pay itself back in a matter of just a couple months. And this is real data from real customers that are using the product today. So it's not just talk. There is real examples of this. And in fact, I'll show you a slide at the end of the session, but we have a whole track here at this conference that's just customer stories using Power Apps and Flow. So I know you're here now, so don't run away and go to that other track at the moment. But as soon as this is done, plan on that tomorrow. Go check out the detailed customer stories that we have about how people are using Flow to transform their business, how people are using Power Apps and Power BI. So there's lots of great real-world examples of that. Now, oftentimes people will ask, okay, so Flow is so great, but who is it really targeting? Who is it for? And we say power users. That's, if you go to the Flow community, it says power users at the top. What does that mean? Who are we talking about when we say power users? Well, when we start, we're talking about just the regular end users in the organization who have a large volume of needs, and they need a tool that doesn't have a high level of complexity. They just want to get started and automate a simple process that they have. That can be a power user. An end user can come, learn about Flow, and get started becoming a power user that way. And oftentimes people will say, well, that's all Flow is, right? Flow is just about these simple end users getting started. It doesn't have any advanced capabilities. It's not for developers. Well, that's not really entirely true either, because pro developers, we find more and more, are using Flow to automate the solutions that they have that span the entire enterprise. And the reason they're doing this is because Flow is a tool that you can use to quickly iterate on the automation needs that you have inside of your organization. It's not writing code where you have to deploy and use Visual Studio and stand up a web service and endpoints and all that stuff. All you have to do is just go to the Flow portal and bam, you have a Flow that can really process something very quickly. So with Flow, we find that both developers are becoming power users because they're coming down and they're using these simple low-code tools, as well as end users who are really taking that step to figure out how to automate their own needs inside of their organization. So another thing we often say is this idea of no cliffs. And this is really important because we want people to get started easily with flow. And this is probably, for everybody out in the audience who has managed to get started with flow already, you probably started from a template. Because they're so easy to get started, really all you have to do is just do a couple clicks, and you have an actual process running for your organization. But most of you probably by now have also started building flows from scratch. And those flows that you built from a template, you can customize those and have them meet your needs without a lot of additional pain. Now, if you go and build a flow from scratch, you may realize that, hey, I need to be able to do something above and beyond what this flow can do. And at that point, you can go even to Azure and use the Azure resources that you have to make your flow be more intelligent, your flow to use those advanced capabilities that are available in Azure. So no matter what you do, the assets that you build, even from the most basic templates, can be reused and are valuable. You don't have to throw anything away as you grow up the sophistication of the solutions that you have. And that's something that's really important to us across the entire Power Platform. With Flow, there are two focus areas that I'll be talking about today. One is workflow automation. So most of you are probably already pretty familiar with this, what we can do with workflow automation. But the other thing I'm going to want to talk about is business process management. So we released last year the business process flows, and I want to share more about that and how that will go inside of Microsoft Flow. So starting with workflow automation, what can we do with Flow? Well, if you've come to the Flow portal recently, you may notice that there are 3 different types of flows that are showing up that are kind of like your classical flows. So automated flows, these are the most common types of flows that we have today. An automated flow triggers based on some event that happens in the cloud, and they can be used from everything from automating alerts, reports, and other tasks when something happens. Now, these automated flows can have any number of actions that reach into the various systems that you have inside of your organization. The second type of flows are instant flows. Now, instant flows are the type of flow that you can trigger right from your mobile device. If you have a process and you're in the field or you're just at work and you want to start something immediately, you can just go to your mobile device, click a button, and that can run a flow right away. And that's super useful because not only can you click a button, but you can also have a form associated with that flow as well. And that form can then go and collect some information and go and run in the services that you've connected to that instant flow. The third type of flow in this category is scheduled flows. And these flows, they sound pretty basic. Hey, I can run a flow every day, or I can run a flow every hour. But you can even get more advanced than that. If you want to run a flow at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on the, every other Tuesday, you can do that with Flow as well. So you can build these processes that are these background processes that run reports that do the types of things that you need on a recurring, fixed basis. So all of these flows together make up the workflow automation capabilities that we have inside of Flow. Of course, these are the types of flows that connect out to all of those other systems. And with the on-premises data gateway, really, no matter where your data is, you can use it from Flow. We find people doing really exciting things like this. With the on-premises data gateway, you can even work with local file systems, which means if you want to kick off PowerShell on your local machine from a flow, you can do that. So people are doing all types of exciting things using the custom connectors and the on-premises data gateway that we have inside of Flow. And if you come to these sessions over and over again, you may notice that that number of connectors keeps growing. I think we added 13 connectors last month. So every single month, there's going to be more and more connectors out of box for you to be able to use. So you probably already know this by now. What makes up an automated flow? A trigger and a series of actions. We say that there's basically an unlimited number of actions you can run. Technically, I think there's a limit somewhere around 250. But if you have a flow that has that many actions, you're probably doing something wrong. You should break some of those actions out and put that in a separate flow and have flows call other flows, right? That's going to be a much better way to manage your infrastructure. But these actions can really connect to anything that we can do inside of the cloud. Plus, we have actions that will also be used to manipulate data. So if you want to convert a list to a HTML table and send that in an email, we have an action built in for that. So there's a bunch of built-in actions that you can leverage inside of Flow. As you build these actions, dynamic content is definitely the most important thing. Dynamic content is the information that flows from step to step. And we have a dynamic content picker where you can search and you can find information that you want to use as you go and build your flow. However, a lot of people are going to need to use expressions as well. And expressions are the way to have lightweight additional logic that can run inline inside of your flow. And there's a bunch of reasons why you might want to use expressions: converting data types, generating data like a date time, handling optional values, et cetera. We actually have a session that will be tomorrow dedicated to just expressions. So if you want to learn more about expressions and how they're useful and the types of scenarios you want to use expressions in, check out that session tomorrow afternoon. It's BRK2004. So with flows, these automated flows, you can also monitor and debug them. So no flow is necessarily going to be perfect. I create flows that fail all the time as well, just like I'm sure all of you have at some point. And that's why we give you visibility into everything that's happening with Flow. With Flow, you can see the historical process of your automation that you've built. And in that, you can even drill down to see what are the types of error messages that are happening. So you can see on the slide here, that pie chart shows you those are the different error codes that this flow has been receiving. And from that table, you can actually click to see the exact inputs and outputs of all of the error messages that the flow has experienced. So this is how we make sure that when you build flows, you build them in a resilient way that you can work with and correct as needed. One of the things that's in public preview, it's been in public preview for a couple months now, is the ability to design flows inside of Visio. So this has been a top ask from a variety of people because Visio has historically been used as a tool to sketch out processes. So what you can do is, if you are in Office Insiders, anybody can sign up for that. It's an open program. You can actually, in the latest version of Visio, build out flows by using flowchart shapes, or BPMN, which is a standard notation for building business processes. And once you've built this flow inside Visio, you can collaborate on it with other people. You can work on this document. You can share it around inside your organization as a documentation of what the process does. And then when you're ready to actually operationalize that process, there's a button right there you can click to export to Flow. And you can just annotate the different shapes with the information that's needed to build out that flow. So this particular shape, this means send an email in Outlook. Or that particular shape means read some data from the Common Data Service. So you can do that as you export your flow, and then you have a live running flow up in the service. So this is a great new capability. Definitely recommend checking it out if you've used Visio before to build workflows on older technologies. One of the other things that's new is some more Azure resource integration. So I mentioned this earlier, but within Flow, we want to make it very easy to leverage all the Azure resources you have. So you can actually go to the custom connector UX and just pick an Azure function inside a subscription that you have, and Flow will connect to that automatically. Or even connecting to a logic app. If you build logic apps, or somebody in your team or your organization builds logic apps, you want to be able to run those from Flow, you can do that. You can connect between these different services to really make some awesome integrations. Now, that's an interesting segue to a question that I get asked a lot, which is, well, what is the difference between logic apps and Flow? When do I use one versus the other? And sometimes I'll hear things like this. Well, Flow is really, it's just about kind of individual per user automation. It can't be used for real automation. So for those of you that are taking a picture of this, this is the misconceptions slide. So don't tweet this, tweet this, because all of this is inaccurate. There's ALM for flows. Flows have the exact same performance characteristics as logic apps. There is no difference in performance between these two things. The same set of user accounts or system accounts or service principals can be used between these two things. So there is no difference from a technical implementation point of view between these two services. So then you ask, well, if there's no difference in the technical level, why are there two different services? What's the point? Well, it's really about what are you trying to accomplish and who are you trying to accomplish it for. So this is the real difference. Logic apps is about building integration systems between B2B systems. It's about using the technologies that exist in Azure, the very, very rich technologies we have with API management and service bus and all these other things as part of our integration offerings to connect systems together. Whereas Flow is about automation that interacts with the end users in your organization. Flow is about, hey, I want to send an approval task to somebody. I want to send notifications to mobile devices. I want to have people be able to run Power Apps or Power BI dashboards. Or inside of SharePoint, I want them to kick something off. These are all processes that interact with the end users of your organization. And for those processes, you have the exact same performance requirements that you'd have for B2B integrations running inside Azure. So there's no reason for us to offer different technologies for them. But the scenarios and the way that we surface them are very different. Flow, of course, because it's about something that's surfaced to end users, well, that's part of a per-user plan that comes with Office 365 or Dynamics, whereas Logic Apps is a consumption service that runs inside of Azure. So hopefully this helps to clarify why we have two different services. It's not because one is faster than the other. It's because there are two different audiences and two different types of scenarios that you may need to build when you're building processes inside of your organization. Okay, so that's the background for automated flow. So I also want to spend a little bit of time just talking about how Flow and Dynamics 365, as well as Flow and Office 365, work together. So the first thing to understand is Flow is the successor to SharePoint Workflow. How many people in this room today are still building on SharePoint Workflow? Wow. Okay. Very honest. I'm surprised that there's only 2 people in the room that are still using SharePoint Workflow. I think some of you may be shy to raise your hand. It's okay. There's nothing wrong still using SharePoint Workflow. But at this point in time, definitely recommend using Flow for any of your new scenarios. And the reason for that is Flow offers much, much richer capabilities than have ever been available in SharePoint Workflow. Now, that means with modern lists and modern document libraries, you can actually trigger flows right in line. And documents don't just live in SharePoint, right? Documents also live in OneDrive. Well, Flow is integrated there as well, something that SharePoint Workflow never would have been able to do. You can even use it to customize page approvals, which was a common scenario with SharePoint Workflow previously as well. So there's a bunch of capabilities that we have inside of Flow that are about automating SharePoint, and there are still a couple gaps here or there in terms of what you can do with SharePoint Workflow versus Flow. But what we've done is we've added kind of an escape hatch that we like to call it, so you can actually call any SharePoint API from Flow. So there's really technically nothing that you can do actually in SharePoint Workflow that isn't possible with Flow. So we actually have a full session. I think there's actually 2 sessions, in fact, on SharePoint and Flow and the Power Platform. This is one of them. I don't remember the other one off the top of my head, but definitely if you're interested in learning more about SharePoint and Flow and how these things work together, definitely recommend checking this out. I believe this session is tomorrow as well. And this will be a theme. There's lots of other sessions here this week or in the next 2 days where you can learn more about Flow and other technologies. So one of the newer technologies, so SharePoint's been around for a while. Teams, on the other hand, has not. This is a new offering, of course, that we have. Hopefully, many of you have had a chance to use this by now. And with Flow, we are the workflow engine for Teams. There is no other workflow technology that's available out there. And the reason this is really useful is you can use Flow to interact with team channels, to send messages back and forth. There's also a tab available inside of Teams where you can click and you can trigger flows, build flows, collaborate on flows with the rest of your team. And there's even the ability now to send adaptive cards into Teams. And these adaptive cards can have things like images and buttons and those types of things. And I'll show you actually a demo of this in a minute or two. Beyond Teams and SharePoint, of course, there's Dynamics 365. And just like Flow is the successor to SharePoint Workflow, Flow is also the successor to Dynamics 365 Workflow. So if there's anybody in the audience that are building new workflows in Dynamics 365, it's the same situation as with SharePoint Workflow. We are not going to delete Dynamics Workflow from your instance. We're not getting rid of any of the existing things that you have. But for new investment, you should be using Flow. And we've been doing a bunch of things to make sure that Flow can do everything that Dynamics 365 Workflow could do previously. So obviously, we have an integration in the UX. So you can trigger a flow right from any record inside of Dynamics, just like you could with Dynamics Workflow. And with the new Common Data Services connector, you can actually participate, your flows can participate in the managed solution import and export process. So for those of you that do build solutions in Dynamics, you know about this. For those of you that don't, it's maybe more complicated than it needs to be. But believe there's a difference between managed and unmanaged solutions, and it's very important. But for the Dynamics users out there, this is really important because it allows you to have application lifecycle management on top of what you build in Dynamics alongside of your flows, as well as actually your Power Apps and entities and all of these things that can work together. And we have a whole session dedicated to this as well, which is tomorrow, I believe, as well. And so that's BRK2002. So definitely check that out if you're interested in how will Flow really be able to replace all of the capabilities that exist inside of Dynamics Workflow. And there's a lot more. So I've just listed a couple. There's even more out there, some that I don't even have on this slide. We have an integration into Excel. So on the Data tab in Excel, you can add a flow button that you can use to trigger flows right from any rows of data that you have. The Project Roadmaps feature, which came out late last year, uses Flow right in line. You can use it to bring data into your project roadmap. You can use Flow in IoT Central as well to be able to get notifications and those types of things. So all across Microsoft, you're seeing more and more integrations with Flow and the other products that we have. So with that, I'm going to switch using the old-fashioned switching way of plugging and unplugging to my laptop. Oh, there we go. Seems to be working. Great. So when you come to Flow, you come to the home page here. Of course, templates are the easiest way to get started, like I mentioned. If you haven't done this yet, I definitely recommend checking out these template collections. They're a great way to just learn some of those capabilities that Flow has. Some of the interesting things are, for HR, for example, you want to be able to onboard people very quickly. And we have, again, those connectors to third-party services as well as first-party services. So if I want to sign a document, I can do that and get that to kick off some sort of logic inside of Flow. But what I want to show specifically today is some integration with OneDrive and Teams and some of our new approvals features. So I'm going to come over to OneDrive for Business. And inside of OneDrive, hopefully by now you've seen there's a Flow button right in that command bar right here. And this Flow button can be used to trigger flows on the data that I have inside of OneDrive. So I can show you how I was able to build these flows pretty easily. So in this case, I just created a flow or a couple flows that have a trigger when a file is selected in OneDrive. So we can take a look at what this flow looks like and how it works. So this is a very simple flow, and what it says is when there's a selected file, I'm going to get the link of that file, and then I'm going to post an adaptive card to Microsoft Teams. So what is this adaptive card? Well, you can actually go to adaptivecards.io and build your own rich cards that have this information like this, these buttons and these links and these types of things. So what I can do is I can come back to Flow here, to OneDrive, select a file, and then kick off that flow. When you kick off a flow inside of any of the other applications that are out there, you get this common flow panel that pops up, and you just click Run Flow, and off you go. So that's how easy it is to trigger a process from inside of OneDrive. So if I come over to Teams now, I'm going to see that message was posted. And in the flow, I actually had included a thumbnail of that image. So you can see in the dynamic content, I've passed in that web URL. So as I come back to Microsoft Teams, I should actually see that image. You can see right here, this was from the booth at Ignite last year. Lots of people coming by and visiting Flow. Hopefully you can come by the booth at the Expo Hall at this event as well. We'll have lots of people there to help you out. But you can see the adaptive card shows this rich image inside of Teams. And this flow really wasn't that complicated. I just used this adaptive card designer to add an image on, and then when a selected file was the trigger, post that adaptive card right inside of Teams. So very, very easy. Now, inside of Flow, one of the most common scenarios is actually using approvals. So approvals are a way to have other people participate in the tasks of your organization. So what I've done is I've built a second flow that actually asks for approval before it posts an image somewhere. So we can take a look at this flow as well. And this flow uses the new V2 operations that we have for approvals. And these V2 operations are important because they bring a lot of new capabilities for approvals that people have been asking for, such as the ability to have custom response options inside of Flow. And these custom response options, they give you a lot more flexibility than just a basic approve or reject. The other thing that's interesting here is we now have separate operations for creating an approval as well as on waiting on the approval. What that means is I can have the flow run and immediately post into the Teams channel with information and then wait for that approval to complete. So we can take a look at this one running as well. So I'll select another image that I have here and run that second flow. And you're going to see, again, this same process that we had before, where I just click that right from the Flow portal, and hopefully it'll pop on over to my Teams channel. So you can see it got this nice picture populated right there as well. But what's also happened is it's now sent an approval request out. So just for the demo purposes, I've made the same account the approver. In reality, of course, you don't want to be approving all your own requests. Probably some compliance reasons why you shouldn't do that. But you can see here, when I click on this, I get those different approval options that we had as opposed to before, where we just had approve and reject. So you can highly customize these, tailor these to meet whatever needs you have. And finally, inside of the flow, you can actually see, of course, the different options that you selected. So if I select not recommended, then when I come back to the flow, I can actually look at that debug history, like I was saying, the ability to see exactly what happened for that flow after it's run. And in this case, we can see the exact results. And you can see Walter Porter, who is the approver, the response was not recommended. So indeed, you can build these flows very quickly. You can see this is not a particularly complicated flow. It just has 5 or 6 steps that can handle taking files from OneDrive, posting it to Teams, using those rich adaptive cards, and sending out approval requests to people inside of your organization. So I'm going to switch back now to the slides. Well, we got to the beginning of the deck. There we go. And talk a little bit about business process management. So the other type of flow that we have, so I already talked about instant flows, scheduled flows, automated flows. There's one other type of flow that's a little bit different than the others. And that's the business process flow. And the reason the business process flow is different is because it's about modeling human-driven processes. And when you model human-driven processes, you get the ability to track stages across time. These human-driven processes can take as long as you need. So an automated flow is tied, it can only run for about 30 days. These business process flows, they can run as long as you need. They can run for years. As long as Microsoft will be around, you'll be able to have this business process flow running. And these steps can have information collected as a part of them. So when you run a business process flow, you get the ability to collect information from users and use that downstream in the logic. So this is just like in an automated flow, you call a service to retrieve information. For business process flow, you have a person physically sit at their machine and fill out the information themselves. So when you build a business process flow, there's two things to think about. The first is about modeling your data. And this is really important because you have to think, as this process executes, what information am I going to need? So what we can think about is, say, an employee onboarding process. What do I need to onboard an employee? Well, some of the things I may need, for example, is, who's the hiring manager? What department are they in? Do they have, a starting location? Are they going to be remote or are they going to be local? These are the types of questions that you would ask as a part of an onboarding process. So what you can do is you can create an entity in the Common Data Service that has this information and then use that to model the business process using the business process flow designer that we have. A business process flow is based on the concept of stages. And each of these stages have a data step where information is collected. And they also have the ability to call into or trigger other automated flows. So this is where these two types of flows come together. You can have a business process that reaches a certain stage, and when it reaches that stage, you can kick off an automated flow to do other steps. So you can have information flow to other systems or send out alerts or notifications or other types of things where you want to be able to have your logic or other types of things run. So on the right, what you're seeing is that's what the business process flow looks like inside of the app when somebody is actually using it. So you can see the similarity, and with each of these stages, one of the things that's really valuable is the ability to track how much time is spent on each of these stages. And you'll be able to use this for reporting and analytics to understand everything that happened inside of your organization. So one of the things that we're working on is exposing these business processes in a way that you can use them from right inside of Microsoft Flow. So today, if you want a business process flow, you can go and build that, and then you can build a Power App to use that business process flow. So that's really valuable, and that's something that I can show you right now. But what we're working on is the ability to have a business process flow that you can run, and you can start and run from right inside of the Flow portal without ever even having to build an app. So we're making it even easier to build and model these business processes in a way that can be used inside of your organization. And finally, process analytics is really important. So what we can do with this, because the business process flow, all that information is actually stored in the Common Data Service, it's very easy to build dashboards and visualizations in Power BI on the business process. So these are some real examples of dashboards that have been built on top of the processes that you have, and it's a little hard to see on the slide, but you have the ability, you can see here, to have a map that shows the time spent or the percent of flow through each of those stages of that business process. And over on the right, you can actually see the total time spent in each of the stages. So you can use this to debug, well, this is a human-driven business process. Where are the people in my organization spending the most amount of time? Where do they need to get faster? Or where is the opportunity, for example, to automate some of these steps? Because the business process flow can trigger automated flows, you can actually streamline this by identifying, hey, this particular stage right here, this content stage, that's taking a long time. I should figure out what I can do to optimize that, to improve that process. So that brings a way to really optimize the time spent in your organization. Great. So I can switch back to my other machine, and we can take a look at business process flows. So this is the Flow portal, and where I've gone is actually to this Solutions tab on the left. So the Solutions tab is really important because solutions offer a way for you to group together your flows. So one of the things that we get feedback a lot is, hey, I go to my flows list and I have 80 different flows and it's hard to find the flow that I want. Well, solutions are the solution to this problem, where they allow you to group together different assets, and you can even group together things more than just a flow. So this is a flow, but I can actually bring it together with an entity or with an app as a part of a single thing. And the solution then, not only does it offer me grouping as I'm developing and building, but it also gives me the ability, I can export this solution and move it to a production environment when I'm ready to go. And that helps me to avoid making changes in production manually as I want to go out and build my application. So what I've gone and done here is I've already built this entity that contains a little bit of information about employee onboarding. And you can see it's a pretty simple entity. It just collects the name and the manager notes. In reality, in an employee onboarding process, you'd bring in other things here, right? You'd have some of the things I mentioned, like where's their location, and et cetera. But from that, I then built a business process flow. And that business process flow, like I said, has a series of stages that track that onboarding process. And as this loads up, you're going to see I've already added a couple stages, but I can continue adding these stages on to collect additional information. So a very, very simple process here. I just have 2 stages. But what I can do is I can add things like conditions, just like I can to automated flows. I can add conditions to business process flows as well. And when you add these steps, it's a simple drag and drop designer, just like inside of Microsoft Flow. And I can add whatever number of stages or information that I want as I build out this flow. I, of course, can add additional conditions, so I can say things like, if the name is equal to John, maybe I want a special onboarding process for people named John. Now, hopefully you're not actually discriminating that way, but you can imagine, you can, of course, have, if you want local employees or remote employees to go through separate processes, you can have that to go as you build out your process. So here I have my John stage and my non-John stage. And inside of these stages, I then have the data steps. And the data steps are where information is filled out as I build my flow. So in this case, I'm going to have the managers add a few notes as they're building out, as they're going and having this employee onboard. You can see I can very easily choose from those fields on that entity. This is why modeling the entity is really important, because it gives you the set of things that you're going to include in the flow as you build it out. So then what I can do is I can validate this and see, oh, there's something wrong, and I selected the wrong field here. So I'll go to name and hit apply. Maybe I actually forgot to hit apply. Now I can validate it, and it looks like it's good to go, so I can update this business process. So now we should be able to see this process inside of a model-driven application that I've built. So I can come here and see I've built this employee onboarding application. So I can just go ahead and play this application, and we'll see I have one onboarding that I've already done. But if I now create a new employee for onboarding, this is that business process actually running. So you can see I spent less than 1 minute in this stage, on the submission stage. And if I come here and if I change the name to John, and you see how it updated that stage automatically based on that condition that I defined. So if I want John to go through the John process, I can do that. Otherwise, if I have Joe, you can see Joe goes through the non-Joe stage, or non-John stage. So it's very easy to have that conditional logic. And of course, this is a very simple process. But you can imagine you can have really as much additional complex logic that you want as you're building out the process of onboarding an employee inside your organization. When you actually run these processes, in this case, I'm actually, I have the ability to go through each of these stages. I'm the manager. I can add the notes. Joe looks great. And I can go to that stage and finish this process off. So I can participate in this myself. But in reality, you're likely to have different people inside your organization collaborating as they build out this process. It's not the same person who's going to go and acquire the PC of that new employee that's also going and actually doing the interview. So you have many different people participating in this process, and you can do that with business process flows as well. And finally, these processes, of course, can trigger automated flows. So what I've actually done is I've built a flow inside this solution that's triggered whenever a stage in that business process changes. So we can come back to the solution and see that flow that I've built. And hopefully what we'll see is it's been triggered a few times in the past minute just because I've gone through that process for Joe. You can see 45 seconds ago, 48 seconds ago, this process happened. And it's a very simple process. It just sends an email to me whenever there's a new stage. But you can see this is how you can bring together these business process flows modeling the human processes as well as the automated flows that kick off and run and connect to all the different systems that we have inside of Microsoft Flow. And with that, let's talk about roadmap and new features. And of course, there we go. Just today, we released what we call the Wave 2 of 2019. And Wave 2 is the wave that comes after April. The last release wave we called April. This one is called Wave 2. We decided to move away from calling them months and instead calling them kind of waves 1 and 2 for each year. And what we're doing inside of Wave 2 is first, we're really focused on bringing AI. So I've mentioned AI a couple times, and this is primarily as evidenced through AI Builder. The second thing that we're working on is really improving the business process capabilities inside of Flow, and finally, building out richer tooling for administrators. So the first AI capability that we have is actually the Flow Checker. The Flow Checker is already available today, but we're continuing to enhance and add additional features to it. And the Flow Checker is an AI-driven advisor that sits alongside your flows as you build them and provides recommendations on how to be proactive in fixing any issues that you have with your flow. Repair tips happen once the flow has failed, but they also provide intelligent recommendations on how to repair your flow if something has gone wrong. Hopefully, you can catch everything with the Flow Checker and never need repair tips, but these features go hand in hand because there are some things you can only figure out went wrong once a flow has failed. Now, with intelligence, we already have also the Azure Cognitive Services. We have pretty much connectors to any of the Azure Cognitive Services that are out there, and they allow things like language understanding, text classification, working with images, etc. But one of the drawbacks of these is you have to have an Azure subscription, and you have to copy paste some keys to get this stuff set up. And in many cases, you have to use the Azure portal to configure these things with additional information. So that's why, one of the reasons why we released AI Builder today. And AI Builder brings in the ability to do artificial intelligence for any non-technical user inside an organization. There's a bunch of different AI capabilities. Some of the most exciting ones are things like forms processing. And what this allows is getting an email attachment, for example, that's a scanned PDF where I have an invoice or a receipt that has come in. And I want to be able to do something with that. Well, historically, inside of Flow, if I have an image, I can't really do much, right? I can send it to somebody else. I guess I can save it to a file. Like, there really isn't a whole lot that you could do. You couldn't get useful data from that image. Now, with the forms processing capability, you can actually train the AI model to look at particular fields, give those fields names, and then use those fields as you build out your flow. So that means if you get a receipt or an invoice, you can actually use the information in that invoice to build out additional logic inside of the processes that you've built inside of Flow. So that's super exciting. We also have binary classification, which allow you to use historical data to predict future information. So you can train it on, say, what is the likelihood that a customer is going to churn. You can put that data in the common data service, and then if a new customer comes along, you can pass the same characteristics, and it will tell you, well, this customer is likely to churn or they're not likely to churn, as well as a confidence of how confident it is in that prediction. There are other things like text classification that allow you to take text and apply labels to it. So if you want certain tags to be applied to certain types of text, this customer feedback was happy, or this customer feedback was about a particular product issue, you can do that with Flow. And you can even do object detection, so looking at particular objects inside of an image and using that to power your flow as well, where those objects are, how many, etc. So all of this is available today inside Preview. There is a session tomorrow, I believe, that talks just about how to add AI to the Power Platform. So I definitely recommend checking this out. This is one of our newest exciting capabilities that we have. One of the other capabilities that's in preview that will be coming out in GA later this year is the ability to share flows as templates. So pretty much since day one, we've had the ability to add other owners to flows, which makes a lot of sense. But sometimes you want somebody else to be able to have a flow, but you don't want them to make changes to the flow that you have. So what we released in preview earlier this year is the ability to send a copy. And what that means is they get their own version of the flow. They add their own connections in. But it came from you originally. So that way, this is a great and simple way to distribute a flow across an entire organization. So that way, individual employees can bring their own credentials, their own connections, but they don't have to build anything in the flow. It's already pre-built for them. Just like the templates that we publish inside the public template gallery. Some of the other features that are coming later this year are the ability to use those solution components. So I mentioned solutions. Those are, you'll be able to bring all of the different components like custom connectors into solutions. We also announced a preview of the geofencing capability inside the Flow mobile app. So that will be GA by the end of this year. And what that means is you can trigger a flow when you enter or exit a location. So this is really useful with the mobile app, so you can say, hey, if somebody arrives at work or somebody arrives at a particular job site, you want to kick off a process that runs based on that. In the business process flow space, we're doing a lot of things to bring in richer capabilities. So one of the things you'll be able to do is add custom controls to these business process flows. You can have custom visualizations or pieces of information that you show in that business process, in that human-driven process, and you'll be able to show it in more immersive experiences. So like I mentioned, you have the ability today to include that business process flow in the Power App. Well, you'll be able to have that entirely immersively be inside of the Flow portal. And we're also adding the ability to work with these business process flows offline. So if you want somebody to be able to go offline and participate in that human-driven process, advance those stages, fill out that additional information, they'll be able to do that as well. We don't have the ability to have automated flows work offline because they are, they're very tightly coupled with all of the different automated services, the APIs that are out there. And then finally, we have rich tooling for administrators. And with that, we're bringing the ability to manage flows inside of the Power Platform Admin Center. If you haven't heard of the admin connectors that we have for Flow, and you are interested in monitoring and managing a Flow deployment, definitely recommend checking that out. People do really fun and exciting things with this where they can use flows to monitor and manage the other flows inside their organization. So it's a little bit circular, but it actually works out very well. We see major organizations using this as a way to monitor and make sure that the right things are happening with their Flow deployments. If you're more traditional and you don't want to use Flow, you can use PowerShell as well. We have PowerShell commandlets for managing and deploying flows, as well as improved capacity governance for flows inside of organizations. So to wrap up, like I mentioned, we have lots of real-world stories. So some of these sessions have already happened. I think the first two have, but we have a bunch coming tomorrow. So you can see 8:15, 9:30, 10:45, 1, 2:15. All of these are customer stories talking about the Power Platform, talking about Microsoft Flow. So please check that out and learn more about what real-world organizations are doing with Flow. And we also have dedicated Learn content. So Microsoft Learn is a new website that you can go to, and you get badges and certifications as you go and build out the knowledge that you have inside of Flow. So if you haven't ever gotten deeper in Flow beyond that first Flow that you created, definitely recommend checking that out. And finally, of course, today and tomorrow, stop by the booth. And ask the experts. There also is another session I want to add a plug for. This is the last one, I promise. Tomorrow morning, BRK2006. This is about digital transformation with Flow. And it's going to talk about really how do you build a culture of transformation by leveraging Microsoft Flow inside of businesses. So definitely check that out tomorrow morning. And if you don't get a chance to connect with us or you want to continue learning more, we have user groups. So there's a few dozen user groups around the world that are just Flow user groups. So there's also, of course, user groups in SharePoint and Power BI and Power Apps where people talk about Flow, but we now have dedicated Flow user groups and a dedicated Flow community. So definitely recommend taking advantage of that if you can. And with that, I think we still have about 5 minutes for questions if people are interested. So there are mics. So if you could walk to the mic so that way I and everybody else can hear you, that would be great. So yeah, question over there.
All right. I think Flow is like the greatest thing from Microsoft since Windows 7. So thank you very much.
That's great. I love that.
But at Georgia Tech, we're doing really awesome things with Flow. And but one of the things that drives us nuts is, and I don't know, it's been like a month since I was in Flow, but is there a way we're going to be able to save a Flow as a draft? Because when they're incomplete, you can't save it.
Yep.
And we run around all the time like a chicken with no head. And sometimes we lose it. And we're like, oh, man, oh.
Yep.
So is there like a draft Flow feature coming soon?
So short answer is yes. So basically what we're working on is really improving all aspects of the Flow lifecycle. So today, you basically have one copy of your Flow and it just runs and that's it. But with the ability to have solutions where you have your test environment, your development environment, and then your production environment, why not have an invalid Flow in your test environment while you're testing it out? So that is something that we're looking at adding. Okay, yep.
Question around, so I get parity. We use it all the time, Flow over an asynchronous workflow, traditionally yep. Dynamics 365. Curious though with the synchronous real-time, that obviously can't be replicated currently. Do we foresee that continuing to be the paradigm moving forward, or is there a new Flow something that can replace that synchronous real-time need?
That's a great question. So you're absolutely right. The guidance as it stands today is for async scenarios, use Flow. For sync scenarios, keep using sync workflow. We are working on how we can bring sync workflow into the modern era, which may leverage aspects of Flow, but it won't be exactly like Flow today, because Flow is very much about kind of distributed, connecting to many different services. But we are looking at how we can do that. We won't have anything really that you can switch to this calendar year, but for 2020, that is something that we're looking at.
Okay, thanks.
It's a great question.
So question for me, I've been working with triggering flows from Power Apps, and I've tried it with the new solution-aware flows, and that didn't work.
Yes.
Is that coming?
Yes, so that's absolutely coming. So for those of you who aren't aware, of course, you can trigger a flow from a Power App. And we have these new solution things. You can put Power Apps and flows in solutions. They can't talk to each other yet. So it's absolutely something that we're going to fix. It's mostly just there's some pieces that we have to line up in terms of authentication to get that to work that just aren't there yet, but that is coming this year.
Okay, thanks.
Hello. My question is around copying actions in flows. So there's some situations in where maybe we're doing some conditional logic and want to copy some actions.
Yep.
Right now, the only way to do that is to manually add it and then kind of copy over the dynamic content. Is that anywhere on the roadmap for the future?
So if it doesn't ship by the end of this month, I'll eat my hat.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So yes, I'm not wearing a hat, if you noticed, so it doesn't count. But yes, it is definitely coming this month. Yes.
Do you know if there is a connector that connects Flow with data flows? So when data flows finish, do something, or vice versa, how to kick off data flow?
So a connector for that doesn't exist yet. Literally last week, we were talking with the data flow team. We have a whole plan on how we're going to do that. That should be available sometime later this year. And we're going to need all of the management capabilities, so you'll be able to run data flows, refresh, query them, all the types of things you want to do with data flows, you should be able to do this year. Yeah.
Hi. Are there any plans for adaptive cards and approvals sent by Flow to Microsoft Teams to be approvable from Teams?
Yes.
or actionable?
There absolutely are. So well, what we're working on is new actions inside of Teams that you can actually use, not just approvals, but you can have any types of buttons on those adaptive cards that can then send information back to the flow that you can then use for approval, as well as even non-approval scenarios. If you just want a button to do something inside a flow, you'll be able to do that.
That sounds really great. Do you know when?
Probably within the next 6 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there planned enhancements around security, specifically something more restrictive than just putting an A bucket and a B bucket, or the ability to restrict things like, well, because we've got Azure open, you couldn't go take everything in our Azure environment and write it to a personal Azure?
So we are looking at improving aspects of the security. So with Flow today, we have obviously the DLP policies that are pretty granular, they're pretty coarse. So we're looking at making those more granular so you can have more control over exactly like accounts as they like cross tenant boundaries and those types of things. So that is something that we're working on.
Any time frame?
I don't have a specific time frame for that one though. So there'll be incremental things that will come out in the coming months on that.
Okay.
I think this is the last official question, and you can talk to me afterwards.
So when are we going to be able to swap out a trigger?
So you can actually do that today.
You can.
Yeah, it's very recent.
Missed
Within the past couple of weeks, we've released the ability to do that. So if you try it now, you should be able to just delete a trigger and add another one, and it should work.
Great.
Mostly.
Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, I'm at time, but for those of you that are still, just feel free to come up. I can stick around and answer questions and fill out evaluations if you'd like, and hopefully you found this useful. Thank you.